Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. I'm not going to ask you to be an attorney, so we'll leave the impending investigation and whatever is to happen up in Union Parish that involves Trey Holly. But let's just talk football here on a Friday.
Yeah.
Theoretically, if Trey Holly is not a part of this team in 2024, what does that running back room look like right now?
Well, you've got Josh Williams, who's your just tried and true guy who will be there. I think his NIL deal runs through 2035.
Good, perfect.
He's never going away.
Have Mickey Loomis convert that into a signing bonus and go ahead and push it on farther down the road.
Well, look, Mickey Loomis has an extra $30 million to work with unexpectedly now, so at least there's some positives there. Maybe some of that goes to Josh Williams as well. And then behind him, you've got Kaleb Jackson, who you all know. I mean, all LSU fans are really high on him and excited to see him get more carries. So, in a way, it's good that you've cleared up some bodies. I just don't know that Trey Holly was the body you wanted to clear up to get him the ball, because Trey Holly is another guy people are very excited about, very talented. I mean, LHSAA all-time leading rusher. I mean, very talented young man. Well, the good news is in fall, you're going to bring in a running back who I think is one of the most underrated parts of this class for 2024 is Kaleb Durham, who is an absolute beast. We all know what that Duncanville High School offense is like over there, and he was a major part of it. You've got three guys you do feel good about. Spring ball is going to look really thin. It's going to be a lot of Kaleb Jackson and Josh Williams as your only two scholarship backs. One consistent trend I've noticed, Brian Kelly's offensive system, he always uses four running backs. He likes to keep guys fresh and likes to rotate it and use guys situationally. For 10-plus years, he's had four running backs with 40 or more carries. That is not by accident. That is by design. So I think you need a minimum of four running backs, if not more, because really at four, if one or two guys get hurt, you're really thin. You're spread very thin. So I think they're going to have to go to the portal. I don't think they have to get a 1,000-yard rusher proven commodity out of the portal, because you do have guys you like, and there is, I guess, a small potential possibility that, Trey Holly's attorney did put out a statement, defending his innocence. So there is a chance he could be back. But I do think you need to add one guy just to add a body in case things go wrong. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious as your thoughts as to why Kaleb Jackson didn't touch the ball more often this past year.
I think Brian Kelly doesn't like to trust freshmen in key situations. I think he likes to rely on veteran players, and that's how he wants to build his program, is by putting veteran players on a pedestal. We saw after a game where Jaden Daniels had 8 touchdowns, Brian Kelly came out and said, after seeing a performance like that tonight, I just really, my mind goes to Noah Kane, who had 8 carries for 34 yards, something like that. But he wanted to highlight that Noah Kane was a fifth-year guy who came back, and these things are very important to him. But the other thing is LSU had 8 running backs last year. No one got a very big piece of the pie, not even Logan Diggs, who was consistently your number one back. So, I mean, that's just the nature of the beast when you've got so many players. That's not going to be the case next year. It's going to be a heavy dose of Kaleb Jackson.
No doubt about that. How much do you expect Caden Durham to factor in, knowing what we know right now, and we don't know who they could potentially add in the next 2 months?
Yeah. I mean, at worst, he's your third back right now. So, I mean, if you roll into fall with the backfield that you've got right now, at worst, he'll get 50 carries. And I think another factor in there is Josh Williams isn't really much of like an every down back kind of guy. He's really a guy who's very good situationally. There were some situations I got upset with LSU for using him. For one, I don't think he's a great goal line back, and they did use him on 4th and 1 or goal line situations. You would hope to see more Kaleb Jackson in that situation, or Kaleb Durham. So because Josh Williams is more of a blocking, pass-catching type back, that opens up even more carries for guys like Caden Durham and Kaleb Jackson.
ReliaQuest Bowl, I was looking at what was likely to come back on the offensive line, the production you were losing at receiver, breaking in a new quarterback, and then as much talent as you had at running back. And I was going, they're going to be far more run heavy this coming season. Then I watched Garrett Nussmeier throw it around in the ReliaQuest Bowl, and I'm going, maybe not. What's your thought on that? Do you think that obviously they're not going to run the quarterback as much as they did with Jaden Daniels, but do you think the philosophy changes a little bit?
Well, they're going to have less rushing yards.
Yeah.
But they're going to have more running back runs, right? They have to, because Jaden Daniels just provided so much running offense just by being who Jaden Daniels is. So yeah, you're going to have to line up, and under center and hand it off and establish a more traditional running attack, because you don't have that dynamic weapon at quarterback. But that being said, I think they'll end up with a lot of passing yards, because Nussmeier is going to go out there and sling it. He threw for 400 in the bowl game. I don't think that'll be the first time we see him approaching 400 yards passing for LSU. I think it's going to be a lot of passing, but the running backs are going to play a bigger role this year than they did last year. In fact, the running backs really hadn't played as big of a role the last 2 years, simply because Jaden Daniels was your best runner on the team, and he's no longer here. So Garrett Nussmeier, if he's your best runner, you're going to have a rough year. So you're going to have to find someone else.
So when I think back, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think back to the Florida State game where I know the LSU running backs did almost nothing, and I don't really feel like the running backs did very much in Tuscaloosa either. Does LSU need to get better on the offensive line at run blocking to get these running backs going?
I don't think that's as big a factor as the running backs themselves, and of course Jaden Daniels taking precedent in the running game.
Yeah.
I think that this LSU offensive line is going to be one of the better offensive lines we've ever seen for LSU. So maybe there's some argument about the interior guys. Of course, the interior offensive line did not have a good game against Florida State, but the rest of the year they were pretty good. I expect them to be greatly improved with 4 out of 5 starters. Of course, the big question is, how good can DJ Chester be at center, or does another guy kind of step in and fill that role? Do they possibly hit the portal for a center? My gut tells me there's a reason Marlon Martinez hit the portal and went to Mississippi State. You don't see very many guys who were going to start for LSU decide, I want to go to Starkville and listen to some cowbell. So I think there was some writing on the wall there, and they like what they're getting out of DJ Chester.
Kind of sticking with this entire theme of kind of the ground game and short passing. Tight end. When Brian Kelly took over, they didn't have any tight ends. Had to send Mason Taylor out there as a freshman and just kind of figure it out. What do you think about that position now as you move into year 3 with Brian Kelly?
Yeah, it is stacked. I mean, you've got Mason Taylor, who the receivers were so darn good last year, you could barely use him. So he's going to be your first tight end. There's no doubt about that. But then you've got a lot of talented tight ends coming in this program, man. I mean, think about Mac Markway, who barely got to see the field last year. Kamorian Pimpton. And then you're bringing in Tradez Green from Zachary, who is a 5-star player. I think he'll be too good to not see the field this year. So I think that tight end room looks really good, and I anticipate tight ends being a bigger part of the offense, because there's just no way the receivers are as good as they were a year ago. I mean, I think they'll be fine, but there's no way you see another Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, right?
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.